There are definitely some funny things in terms of innovation. I mean, I'm pretty sure in China there's an app for everything. I had a friend who was telling me that there's an app now that she can call someone to come bring food and cook in her home for her. So yeah, I'm pretty sure there's just about anything that you could have an app for, someone has made an app for it.
Chinese speed, like the speed of development of infrastructure and transportation, it's ridiculous. The efficiency in every service of many different sectors. In Longyang, which is a city in Fujian, there is a train station built under 9 hours by thousands of people, and they set up an entire station from scratch. It was nothing, and it just became a massive train station.
I have great conversations with taxi drivers, and at some point during the conversation, during which we've talked about everything under the sun, either the driver or myself will say how lucky we are to live in a time in which such a conversation is possible. And we remember how 40 years ago or 50 years ago, not only could we have not had the conversation, but physically it would have been difficult for us to even be in the same place, never mind in the same car. I think that in itself is a great indicator of change and of just how far things have come.
In the past, there was a large cohorts of expats sent here by their companies, and they had no incentive to learn Chinese or adopt a Chinese perspective on things. But now young people are actually choosing to come here because they want to. It's very interesting for them to live and work in China, and during that time they can learn Chinese. And this is definitely not the case back in 2001. When I first came here, there was two kinds of foreigners. There were three. There were expat package guys, and there were English teachers, and there were tourists. There may have been some outliers, but now you have foreigners working in almost every single industry, and I don't think there's any restrictions for foreigners in any industry. Even state-owned companies are hiring foreigners these days. And so that was definitely not possible. So that's really interesting.
Obviously, within China, there have been incredible developments in the last 40 years. And in terms of the rest of the world, because of trade and the globalization of the world and the interdependence, China's now become this key country to the development of the world. Whether that's through industry and trade and exports out of China, which is obviously the majority, but also in terms of talent that is coming from China and potentially getting educated abroad and then coming back to China or dispersing around the world.
Everyone sees that China is developing very quickly, in so many different ways. Education, their universities are just climbing up the rankings. You've got huge technology companies that didn't exist 10 years ago that have over 1 billion users now.
At the beginning of 改革开放, it was about importing thought, importing technology, importing innovation. But now they're talking about 走出去. We have to export the thought, export innovation. So leading economically, politically, and culturally.
Before, actually, China will need the world to develop. That's why China started 改革开放 and start to all this new policy come into the China and to develop better. And now world need China to become better. No matter what kind of trades, no matter what kind of program they're going on the world, it's always including China.
I hope that there will be greater interactions between China and the wider world. Yes, in an economic level, but more on a social as well. That there will be more comprehension of each other's ideas and culture.
那么我就是非常期待以后的幸福值的这个提高，人民有保障，人民具有安全感，并且自信。我非常期待这种转变。